How many of you know the place called workplace? Like where we work? Yes, sometimes my kitchen table as well. And how many of you are curious about well-being? Right. Now, what is it so interesting about mixing workplace and well-being that it becomes so significant that you have to spend all this money to show up here and have a conversation? Right? There's got to be some unique alchemy that is taking place when you mix workplace and well-being. Now, when we think about that, it's probably good to start with examining what does workplace really mean? What is so unique about that? See, we're not talking about home and well-being, right? We're not talking about leisure and well-being. We're not talking about serving humanity and well-being. We are not talking about being in the gym, being on the beach, being on the moon, being in Mars, and well-being. What we are talking about, workplace and well-being. Second question is, let's look at well-being. You know, how many of you are human beings? Right. So there is something about humans that makes us a being. What does being mean? The science of ontology tells us human beings are an experience through whom everything flows. We are an embodied experience through which our thoughts, our emotions, and all the fun that we have, all the low moments that we have, flow. What is the way of being we have at work determines to a large extent what we have in our life. But when we talk about well-being, I'm always very surprised by this phenomena. Today also I was talking about this, about mental health. The moment we talk about mental health, what are the first words? Don't look at my slides. Ignore the slides, okay? Just, what are the words that come to your mind? Stress, anxiety, burnout, sleep issues, and all of that. This is not mental health. This is the 3 Ds. Distress, disorder, and disease. So my first challenge to you as you go through this talk today is about how can we have this conversation without invoking distress, disorder, and disease? How can we talk about mental health without invoking something that is not a wholesome state of mental health? What is the mental health equivalent of going to the gym, taking a walk in the park, consulting a nutritionist, just playing with your kids, watching the sunset go down with a very nice French Bordeaux in your hand? What would the workplace equivalent of that look like? The challenge with this conversation is the way we have framed the concept of workplace well-being is with minimum acceptable, the MA. So what does workplace well-being usually mean? If you're not stressed, if you're not burnt out, if you're not resigning, basically you're a warm body with positive IQ still at the workplace, then you have well-being. How about breaking out of this paradigm? Reimagining this MA to mean what's maximum achievable? What might my greatest life look like? How can the experience of being at the workplace be the most fulfilling expression of myself? How might I walk into workplace and be inspired by what I do? Be touched by the people that I do it with? And experience a sense of deep meaning, purpose, and fulfillment in everything I do. Now tell me, which one of these visions encourages you more about workplace well-being? Not merely being stressed or being fully self-expressed? Not being burnt out or being full of joy, peace, and fulfillment? Not getting ready to leave, rather being in a place where this is the most nurturing part of my life. Does that sound interesting? Does anybody want to go to such a workplace? I just want to make sure, okay? I always check in to see if I'm in the right room. How many of you want to be in such a workplace? Great. I want to be such in a workplace too. And I spent most of my life in the corporate career, running public companies, etc. And I also lived as a Buddhist monk, and also as a beggar, and as an Orthodox monk. And I found this common, both in high-powered boardrooms, making multi-billion-dollar deals, and begging for food, right? That, at the end of the day, it's not what you do. It's how you feel about it, how it impacts your quality of life, your relationship at work. That gives you the quality of the experience of being alive. The content does not matter, the context does. And finally, what's decisive is the aftertaste. How are you left feeling after you've just finished accomplishing something? So I want to begin by challenging this paradigm. The rest of the whole presentation, hopefully I will have time to do a little practice with you also so you can feel it in the here and now. And it's just not a motivational talk, and I tell you, figure it out on your own. So hopefully, before we close, I will give you a taste of it. Let's see how it goes. So please open up your mind to that a great life is possible, a great sense of well-being is possible, and set your bar to having a wonderful experience of being alive, not just simply not being stressed. All right, with me so far? Okay, there are 4 pillars of self-care and well-being. Well-being just does not happen on its own. We need to work at it, we need to nurture it, and we need to systematically, intentionally, continuously deepen and integrate it into our lives. I won't have a time to go through all 4 pillars, but we will talk about a few. One of them is positive emotions, and second one is a sense of meaning and purpose. Now let's talk about positive emotions. How many of you know what positive emotions mean? Very good. Life stinks. You should have a more positive attitude. Life stinks. Now, those are not the type of positive emotions I am talking about. I am talking about positive emotions as virtues that create a sense of well-being that lasts. Not a momentary sense of pleasure, not like a yawn, you feel great when you take it, but after that you're back to normal life. But something that touches, moves, and inspires us every day in every area of our life. Let's look at what some of those might look like. Gratitude, the opportunity to acknowledge what we already have in life. Forgiveness, letting go. You know, hating somebody is like drinking the poison and expecting the other person to die. Mindfulness, the ability to be present in the here and now. Our greatest challenge is when we are here, we are either trying to change something we did in the past or worried about what's going to happen in the future as the life flows by. The capacity to have joy. Joy is different from happiness. I know we are at a happiness conference. Joy is different from happiness. Joy lasts longer. It becomes like the skin of your body. It is who you are, that you walk into the room with. You don't have to work for it. How many of you have to work in the morning for you to look the way you look right now? I mean, leave out the makeup, okay? I mean, generally, the way the skin is. Not so much, right? We always get a being who we are and who we're not. How might joy be so well integrated into our life that that's just the experience of being alive? How might love and compassion be boundless? When we meet people, we leave them feeling that we exuded a genuine compassion to them. And we are harmless. Nurturing a sense of peace and calm that allows us that life will go up and down and many times, but we may move a little bit from our center, but come back to it. Now, these are the positive emotions that you can actually nurture in your life, integrate and weave. But you know what the billion-dollar question is? How? That we are going to talk about in the next part of my talk. How might you systematically cultivate them? Using the cutting-edge research from neuroscience, cognitive psychology, the ancient wisdom of mindfulness and meditation, integrate them into a woven life practice, that it becomes the flavor of your life. It becomes the aftertaste, what is left in your mouth before you go to sleep. Are you interested? Okay, let's keep going. Before we move forward, I want to talk about what does our life look like. So our life is not single-dimensional. Our life is an experience of our at least 7 key areas of life: family and personal life, career, social life, service and contribution, health and wellness, self-development, and nurturing yourself. Let me tell you one thing. It's impossible to have a toxic relationship and be happy at work. It's impossible to be stressed at work and really invest time in nurturing and growing yourself. It's equally impossible to be very sick and yet bring your best version to your relationship. Life is a fractal. Life is what arises when all 7 of these key areas of life come to life. It is these 7 key areas of life that we live and breathe every second. Guess who goes home after work? The person, whatever happened during the day, right? Who spends time with the children? Whatever is left after the work has been done. Who gets up next morning to go back to the workplace? A sum total of all the experience that arose. Now, of course, we can tailor ourselves to try and put on a game face, which I showed you, the Garfield, right? Life stinks! The point I'm trying to make here is, just as it's very important to nurture positive emotions in your life, it's also important to look at which of the areas of engagement in my life are not wholesome. How might I pay attention to them? How might I deepen them? And surprise, surprise, you take action in one area, every other area of life will also get benefited from it. It works absolutely both ways. I promise you that. Try it out. And come back to me for a refund if you don't. No, sorry. I was just making that part up. All right. Before we move forward, I want to give you a minute, okay? Please. 1 German, Belgian, Dutch minute, okay? What are the 3 positive emotions that today you want most in your life? What are the 3 engagements that you want to deepen in your life? From the 7 key areas, what are the 3? Or at least 1 that you want to deepen in your life. Just make a mental image of it. Make a note of it if you like, whatever your existence system is. And in the second half of my talk, we will try and do something about it. Okay? Now I'm going to shut up for 30 seconds. So you get a moment, check in. I'm not going to ask you to tell this, okay? This is your secret. It will go to the grave with you. Allow yourself to be, what Iris said, right? Be vulnerable. Acknowledge the truth that these are the areas where I want more positive emotions. These are 3 positive emotions. These are the areas I want to go deeper. I will leave you with that inquiry now for 30 seconds, okay? And we start. All right. Everybody got at least one area? Good. Very, very good. Excellent. We'll move forward. Everybody with me? Fantastic. The next question I want to have is, what is life about anyway? How many of you are parents? Okay, quite a few of you. How many of you have parents or had parents? Very good. Just checking, okay? Just checking, just checking. So, the question I'm about to ask is, what do you want most for your kids? What do you want most for your kids? Somebody wants to shout out? Don't raise hand, just shout out. What do you want most for kids? Happiness. Anybody else? Positive attitude, okay. Happiness. How many of you want $1 billion for your kids? How many? Of course, you know, but what would be the first priority? The challenge with the science of happiness is you want most for your kids to have a happy life, to have a healthy life. What are they learning in school? Physics, chemistry, maths, algebra, and all that. So all throughout our life in school, we are trained not to be happy, but we are substantially trained how to be successful. Eventually, through decades of life, we figure out what would make us happy by paying a very expensive tuition. It costs us years of our life. So why I asked you to take a moment to check in with yourself what you want most, because that's a conversation we never have in school, for most part, right? And this is the part I wanted to tell you. Success and happiness are not at 2 ends of the spectrum. Success without stress is possible. In fact, the state of enjoying success that you have defined is what's called happiness. It's called a sense of well-being. It's called a sense of fulfillment. We'll talk a little bit more about it as we go forward. What really happens when we are happy? See, happiness is not one thing. It's a gradient. It's an ascending hierarchy of needs. And I know there's a lot of research out there from positive psychology, existential psychology, you know, and I love most of it, but I want to broaden the horizon a little bit. First is when you no longer have any struggle in life. Second is when your desires are beginning to get fulfilled. But true lasting happiness, you encounter here meaningful life. And you get some questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose on the planet? How would I like to be remembered for? What will be my legacy? If today were the last day of my life, how much of life would I change? If I was never going to be paid again, and today was going to be the last day of my life, what would I spend doing it? These are what I call come to Jesus moment or come to reality moment. This is the moment, if you tell people today is the last day of your life, and then ask them how much of their life they will change, you notice the delta between their greatest life. Everybody has two lives, okay? One that they're actually living, and the second that they're preparing for, they will live someday. And then they have a life-altering experience, they realize their mortality, and then they have just one life left, the one that they are living. So for most of you, I wish you never have to go through that crucible. Rather, as an act of creation, you have an opportunity to design for yourself, who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? And how would I like to be remembered? What would I like to contribute? You never know which day is your last. Life is happening now. Everyone who died today had a plan for today. Everyone who died yesterday had a plan for today too. So remember that. Once you confront that enormity, from there you find more sense of meaning and purpose. How can I express myself that will allow me to multiply? Your life becomes larger and larger when you are able to share a sense of meaning and purpose with the people around you. Countless studies have shown that greatest sense of inspiration and creativity for people comes when there are a moment of inspiration, the locus of which is internal, but the impact of which is external. That means they are inspired from within, but they recognize, wow, how much of a difference my work makes for the rest of humanity, my family, my colleagues, my workplace, whatever I'm a part of. Now I can tell you, that state of happiness is completely so much more profound than not struggling or not burning out. It makes you feel alive and self-expressed. And finally, of course, having a fulfilled life, right? I always say that, people have 4 birthdays. 1, biological birthday, when you're born. Second is when you discover your purpose. Third, when you actually fulfill your purpose and you recognize there is more life after. And fourth is when you realize now you would not change your life even 1%, even if you were going to die tomorrow. That is the ultimate challenge that you can set to yourself to see if you are truly happy. Make sense? All right. Now, how do we find flow in life? And I won't spend too much time on this, but all the positive emotions that I talked to you about, they give you something. Forgiveness and gratitude helps you feel lighter of letting go of the past. Mindfulness, savoring, meaning, and self-care allows you to enjoy the present a lot more. And future. Okay, by the way, where are you going to spend the rest of your life? In the future. Living in the moment is impossible. How can you live in the present? It's gone. Gone again. Gone again. The act of living is continuously envisioning a future, experiencing it for a moment, and then depositing it as a memory in the past. As long as you have positive memories and enthusiasm for the future, you will have a great present. Who you are being in the present is a function of the future you are living into and the past you are willing to let go. And that's called a state of flow. Life is not perfect, but life is good. All right? You have an experience of life is good. I actually have t-shirts saying that. Life is good. The second point I wanted to challenge a little bit was about how happiness, fulfillment, and mental health cannot be separated, cannot be sliced and diced. And please bear with me, this is a little bit technical. This is, I call the one life hypothesis, that your emotional health, mental health, physical health leads to total well-being. Now, how you think determines how you eat. 80% of serotonin in your body is produced in your gut. So your depression and anxiety is a big function of your gut neurons. There are more neurons in the gut, in the interstitium, than there are in the brain. Your genetics determines whether those hormones are balanced or not. Environmental toxins of pesticides, mold, etc. can jam up your endocrine system and your detoxification system, which can affect how you think and how you eat. And how you think, how you eat will determine how you behave, which will determine what kind of relationships you have, which will determine what happens in the workplace. So you see, It is a very interesting cycle. Until and unless you pay attention to a lifestyle transformation, you build life skills which are able to positively impact this whole. You can start with any step of the journey, but unless you invite yourself to impact every step of the journey, a wholesome life is going to be harder. That's why a pill for an ill does not work with happiness. What makes you happy today will not make it tomorrow, until unless you've created your personal prescription of making this difference to yourself. So how do you get started? That's the big question, right? Wow, this was great, we loved all this, but how do we get started, right? So let me talk a little bit about getting started. Just like there's a vicious cycle, there is also a virtuous cycle of the be, do, and have. Be is to nurture positive emotions. It will automatically already make tremendous amount of difference to your quality of life. And I will do a little practice with you to see how that works. Do, nurture some micro practices that you can integrate. That don't require you to go to a Buddhist Vipassana for 10 days, right? Or that does not require you to go and work it out in the gym and hashtag burn is real, okay? But what can you do? Come on, I have friends like that, okay? So what can you do as a micro practice that will actually, between 2 minutes to 5 minutes, you will be able to integrate that into your life. And how do you actively seek and savor experiences that will make you look forward to the future, have positive emotions of the past, unburden yourself of the trauma and non-wholesome experiences, right? This is what I talk about as intention, embodiment, and committed action. Now, we are going to try to do some of it, okay? See, I'm exactly at half of my talk. And rest of the talk, we will focus on trying it out. See, one of the things that I learned very early in my career, as a CEO is that people don't do what you tell them. They do what you do, okay? You want to try that? Okay, when I say clap, clap your hands. Okay, again. Clap, clap. See, I didn't say clap, but you still clap. So people always model what you do. All right. Okay, now sit in a comfortable position, preferably your legs uncrossed if you don't mind. We are going to see the power of mind and emotions on our body. All right, now close your eyes. I'm going to hypnotize you, and I'm going to take you to Disneyland. No, I'm just kidding. Now, I wish. I'm not that good. I just wish. Okay, all right, close your eyes. Imagine it's an extremely hot afternoon in Belgian summer. Extremely hot afternoon, and you've just come back from cycling, and you are very sweaty. And you just entered your apartment. And the moment you entered the apartment, you saw your refrigerator in the kitchen. You open the refrigerator door. And inside you find this juicy yellow lemon. Now take that lemon out, put it on the kitchen counter, take a knife, slice the lemon into two. Notice how fresh the lemon is. Now, take that lemon and gently squeeze it into your mouth. And now you may open your eyes and welcome back. How many of you had saliva? I want to see the hands up. Okay. Saliva. Now, this is an exercise, right? You're not at home, but look at just what happened. I set this whole thing up for you, that it's a practice. And yet, your body responded not to what you know is real, but what you're simulating in your mind. In fact, our prefrontal cortex, the front part of our brain, the executive function, is a big, giant simulation engine. So the type of emotions we nurture in our mind directly affects our physiology. You just saw that. Now let's look at positive emotions. Close your eyes again. Okay? Now bring to your mind face of a person that you're very upset and angry with. Someone who's done something extremely nasty with you. Somebody that you're not ready to forgive yet. And now take this moment to yell at them. Please say whatever your heart desires to them in this moment. How bad they are, how they hurt you, how you dislike them, how you wish you'd never see them, whatever. I don't know how Belgians get angry, okay? So whichever way you want to get angry, just say something to them. And I'm going to give you 1 minute for that, to get angry. Really angry. I promise to you, this issue will get resolved after this, okay? So bring it on. Okay, that was about 30 seconds. Open your eyes. How do you feel in this moment? How do you feel? Okay, anybody has tightness in the chest, in the gut? Anybody here who has tightness in the chest, gut, angry? Are you happy in this moment? No. All right, we'll do another experiment, okay? Close your eyes again. Now bring to your mind someone who has contributed tremendously to your life. It can be a parent, can be a spouse, can be a teacher, or even a stranger. Bring them to your mind. Use this opportunity now to say thank you to them. Let them know how grateful you are to their presence in your life. How much their presence means to you, how much you love them, how much you care about them. Allow yourself to be moved and bring that sincerity and vulnerability into expressing your sense of gratitude about their presence in your life. Acknowledge them authentically as if it's your last opportunity. Notice they are smiling as they receive your gratitude. Notice the warm bond that's developing with you, within you, and how they are getting happier and happier as you express to them how much you love them. Any emotion that comes up for you is okay. All right. Now you may gently open your eyes and smile. How do you now feel? How do you feel? Emotional. How long was that? About 35 seconds. You see, when we nurture positive emotions, it has, and I can go in detail about how the angular singular cortex gets stimulated, how the insula gets stimulated, and how the oxytocin rises. None of that means anything to you unless you're a neuroscientist or a researcher like me, okay? The point is, as you nurture positive emotions, your sense of well-being becomes a part of you. As contrast to when you nurture negative emotions. Now, I have always this argument with psychologists and psychiatrists all the time. I tell them, a not depressed person is not a happy person. An outcome of psychotherapy is not happiness. Anybody who's on antidepressant, you're not creating a happy person. You're simply creating a numb person who doesn't feel those negative emotions anymore. The recipe to make someone happy is completely different, the 4-step process that I explained to you. One of them we just practiced, nurturing positive emotions. Now, it is possible to do this in one go. Nurture positive emotions, take care of your self-care and well-being, and have a wholesome experience in just 7 minutes. How many of you would like to try? Like right now? Now, I want to declare, disclaimer, okay? There are some side effects that are possible. You might sleep better at night. You might have a sense of peace and calm. You might end up feeling happy. And you generally may have some optimism about life. If these side effects bother you, this exercise may not be for you. I just want you to know, okay? Only if you're willing to have these side effects, then do this exercise with me. Are you game? All right. We will do just 6 minutes. And we are going to combine everything, all the 4 things I talked about, in one micro practice. And, we say in Spanish, más o menos, in approximately 5 minutes, give or take a minute, okay? Clear? All right. So may I request you to please sit in a comfortable position, uncross your legs. The energy flows better when your legs are uncrossed. It's not a defensive posture. And put your hands on your lap facing upwards, like this. Okay, I'm going to pretend to sit, okay? Like this, okay? I don't have a chair, so just like that, okay? All right. Now, I'd like you to gently close your eyes. Gently close your eyes. If we can lower down the light a little bit, will be helpful, but it's okay. Gently bring your attention to your breath. Deeply inhale through your nose and gently exhale through your mouth and relax. Deeply inhale through your nose. That fresh new breath filling up your lungs. And gently exhale through your mouth and relax and let go. If your mind wanders, do not fight it. That is what minds do. Just gently bring it back to your breath. Deeply inhale through your nose and gently exhale through your mouth and relax. This is good. Now gently bring the attention to the muscles of your face, your jaw. Allow those muscles to relax and let go. They work very hard. This is your opportunity to allow them to rest. Allow any stress, any tightness in your jaw to let go. Exhale it out. Wonderful. Deeply inhale through your nose and gently exhale through your mouth and relax. Wonderful. Now gently bring the attention to your neck, your shoulders. We hold a lot of stress there. Allow it to be exhaled. Allow these muscles to relax. There is nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just allow these muscles to relax. It is your intent that is important. Wonderful. Continue to be aware of your breath. Deeply inhale through your nose and gently exhale through your mouth. Now allow the muscles in your back, in your arms to relax and let go. The muscles of your torso, your left hip, right hip, your thighs, your knees, allow them all to relax and let go. They work so hard, carrying you everywhere in life. Allow them to relax and rest. It is your intent that is important. With the next breath, inhale all the way to your toes, filling up your body with a fresh breath, and exhale back out through your mouth. Relax and let go. Now gently bring your attention to a point of light at the center of your chest, where your heart is, where you feel love. Gently bring your attention to that point and continue to be aware of your breath. Deeply inhale through your nose and gently exhale through your mouth and relax. It is your intent that is important. If your mind wanders, do not fight it. Just gently bring it back to the center of your chest. Deeply inhale through your nose and gently exhale through your mouth and relax. Now imagine you are in front of a beautiful ocean, the most beautiful ocean that you have ever seen. Become aware of the soft sand of the beach below your feet and notice that warm, fresh air coming from the sea in your face. It is your intent that is important. Now deeply inhale and gently exhale out to the ocean. Now as you exhale out any feelings of stress or fatigue. Let them go. Any feeling of anxiety or worry, let it go. Breathe it all out to the ocean. Any feelings of anger, fear, guilt, grief, let them all go. Release them into the ocean, never to return. It is your intent that is important. Continue to be aware of your breath. Deeply inhale through your nose and gently exhale through your mouth and relax. Let go of anger, fear, guilt, grief. Allow yourself to feel lighter and lighter as all of this is flowing out from you into the ocean, never to return. Continue to be aware of your breath. Deeply inhale through your nose and gently exhale through your mouth and relax. This is wonderful. Now gently bring the attention back to the center of your chest. Now notice your family and loved ones in front of you and express to them how much you love them. how much you care about them, how beautiful your life is because you share it with them. Allow yourself to be moved as you express this feeling of love to them. Wonderful. Now imagine yourself running into the future with your family and loved ones. You're healthy, happy, and successful, and full of life. You're happy, healthy, and successful, and enjoying all of life. Continue to be aware of your breath. Bring your attention back to your heart and acknowledge to yourself, life is good. I am so blessed. I am grateful to life. Life is good. I am so blessed. I am grateful to life. Now you may, in your own time, gently open your eyes. Continue to be aware of your breath. Gently open your eyes and smile. Life is good. I am so blessed. I am grateful to life. 6.5 minutes. How do you feel? Anybody angry? Upset? Do you feel that sense of peacefulness in the room? Do you feel the ability to be here in the moment? Not a desire to rush to the future or relitigating the past? This, my friends, is the first stage of well-being, where you have the authentic experience of being alive, liberated by the burdens of life, and nurturing one positive emotion just for 6 minutes with a stranger in an environment which is not your safe home environment. Imagine what would be possible if you could do this in 3 minutes every day, 5 minutes every day. How would that life look like? Being able to take this experience of peace into the rest of your day, into your relationships, into your workplace. This is what we call the journey of discovering your I am, nurturing your most beautiful self, nurturing all the positive emotions, gratitude, joy, peace, calm, love, forgiveness, abundance, focus, learning the life skills of how to be collaborative without being competitive, and finding that sense of dynamic balance of what areas of your life do you need to nurture most. It's simple. All it takes is making time for yourself and some micro practices. Make sense? Good. Well, that really brings me to the end of my formal talk, because I know at the end of this, people don't want to listen too much. They want to experience that beingness. The trick is, all of this is possible for you. We have an app, a digital platform, a book, facilitator-led programs, and we work with corporations on how can you weave a fabric of this. Ultimately, to sustain happiness, joy, and fulfillment in life, going beyond, elevating stress and fulfillment only happens where it becomes you. You wear it like the fabric of your skin. We still have a few minutes left on my clock. That's pretty good. And so if there are any questions, I will take them now. And you can also visit our booth in the conference and a booth in the exhibition, where you can find more information about how you can integrate these practices into your life, set up your personal practice, or bring it into your organization. But I have 5 minutes on the clock. Any questions, comments? Everybody seems very zen out. You have a question? Yes. Yes. What about spirituality? Yes, yes. So that's a good question. That's a great question, actually. Spirituality, what is spirituality? Spirituality is an experience of recognizing and realizing all aspects of ourselves that go beyond the label, I'm a man, I'm a Belgian, I'm an engineer, I'm this, I'm that. Spirituality is an experience of peeling the layers of the Maya, or of all the material pursuits that we have that suppress us, to bring forth an authentic sense of self. Spirituality does not need to be religious. Spirituality does not need to be dogmatic. It does not need to follow a cult or a guru or any of that. Spirituality, the beginning practice really is recognizing that unadulterated, infinitely powerful, anything is possible state of human being, where you are one with yourself, with a profound sense of meaning and purpose. Many people practice spirituality in many different ways, okay? I personally believe, this is just my synthesis of it, that you don't have to engage, like how many of you know how the internal combustion engine works? And how many of you know how to drive a car? Many more, right? So the point is that while there are always people who would like to take time out from their life to learn the nitty-gritties about the spirituality per se, but most people want outcomes, right? That they can integrate into their life. So in the I Am platform, we use principles of both Buddhist psychology, mindfulness, ancient wisdom. Now, when I ask you to focus on your heart, that's the Anahata Chakra, or the heart chakra, that I'm inviting you to focus on now, which also controls the thymus gland, which releases macrophages in the blood. So you have a better sense of immune well-being with that, right? Or I could ask you to focus on your crown, so the Sasara chakra, which also controls the pituitary and the pineal, which releases all the hormones that are regulatory hormones inside the body. So science and spirituality, for most people, you don't have to go deep into the science. You don't have to go deep into the spiritual principle, but you can focus on lifestyle practices or what you can do now, today. If you have only 3 minutes to invest, how can you find that island of peace and calm in the center of everything that you have going on? Time is such a big luxury for people today that my whole focus is, if you have only 3 minutes, what can you do in 3 minutes? Sure, maybe you can go to a retreat next year, right? If you have only 5 minutes in the day to yourself prior to lunch break in your workplace, what can you do to deal with whatever happened during the day? And sure, you can go and bring an executive coach and implement all those ways later. So to me, spirituality, when lived, and is a state of well-being and an unbridled self-expression and a cultivation of life that gives you the most beautiful experience of being alive. In a circuitous way, that does answer your question, right? Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. It was great chatting with you. Thank you. Bye-bye.